I got an email from somebody who's very angry with me, a woman from South Africa who tells me that I completely misunderstand the situation. There really is white genocide and all this other stuff. So I decided to look into this a little bit, and it turns out that she's completely off her rocker. There absolutely is not white genocide. And I want to establish that for you. This is Mark Burns. He is a far-right Trump extremist. Magapotamian to the core, okay? He decides to go to South Africa to analyze the situation. Listen to what he had to say about it.
The big elephant in the room was to answer and find, is there white genocide that's happening in South Africa at the hands of Black people with a Black-led government? And what I find was, having spoken to many different former apartheid leaders, many different white farmers, Afrikaners in business, they were extremely shocked to discover that this was the narrative that was being played out in Washington, D.C., and that they wanted to assure me that was not happening. And just to play devil's advocate, my question was, is this government backed? Some of them were not favorable of the ANC. Some of them were not necessarily fans of the current administration. But they wanted to assure me that they were not witnessing genocide. Now, having said that, that doesn't negate the fact that white people or white farmers are being killed or Black farmers are being killed. Let's not exclude the fact that there's a high crime rate.
Okay, here's the bottom line. There's crime in South Africa, and people are falling victim to it. Of course. That's happening literally everywhere. There's crime in society. First time? It's not a genocide. And even Mark Burns, of all people, acknowledges that it is not a genocide. For this guy, of all people, to say it's not a genocide, that should tell you something. He's the kind of person who, given the opportunity, would say whatever it took to benefit Trump or the far right or whatever. I'm actually kind of really surprised that he's acknowledging that there is no white genocide over there. If you're unfamiliar, this is Mark Burns saying that the LGBT community should be executed.
The LGBT, transgender, grooming our children's minds is a national security threat because it is ultimately designed to destabilize the republic we call the United States of America. That's why when I'm elected,
I believe he lost his election.
I don't want to just vote. I want to start holding people accountable for treason to the Constitution. I am going to push to reenact HUAC. HUAC is the House of Un-American Activities Committee.
To say such a thing is absolutely psychotic. If you guys don't know the history of HUAC, I don't want to get into it right now, but it was evil. It was responsible for a period in American history where people were being imprisoned for being accused of being communist. They weren't communist. They were accused of it. He wants to bring that back. That was in the 50s, I believe.
It was a real committee that was formulated back in the 50s, and it's a committee that we should reenact that starts holding these people accountable for treason. Lindsey Graham should be held accountable for treason for supporting Joe Biden's gun-grabbing Second Amendment law that he's trying to push forward.
And we all know what the penalty for treason is. That's why he picked that as the crime that he wants people charged with, because there's a very specific penalty, the death penalty.
Lindsey Graham, my opponent's mentor, just stated that I am supporting all initiatives.
He continues going on about guns and how Lindsey Graham was not supporting gun legislation the way he wanted. Anyway, the point is he wants LGBT people put to death. That's who the guy is. It's what he believes. He went to South Africa and said that it's not there's no white genocide. It's just fictitious. So this person that emailed me, she told me to check this guy out. She told me this guy knows what's going on. So let's just listen to this video of him real fast and see what he has to say.
Woo, this one is gonna be hot. So in this video, you're gonna see a US expert breaking apart and trashing South Africa's response to Trump's white genocide accusation. Now, the only way that you're going to enjoy this video is, number one, be patient with me. I can't say everything because I've got to keep it short. Number two, understand that I have no one to defend except my children and your children and grandchildren, because we will leave a prosperous country behind for them.
I don't know what this guy's like political position is, but because I don't understand the political situation in South Africa, but based on the positions that he's espousing, I don't see any scenario in which he's not a far-right nutcase to be supporting claims of white genocide that are absolutely absurd. It is not happening.
If you agree with that, press like and let's go. So let's start with this article here. Trump allies fact-finding mission on white farmers and genocide may not change US president's mind. So Mark Burns, a close ally of US President Donald Trump, has returned from a visit.
Yeah, that's who we just watched, Mark Burns.
Has returned from a visit to South Africa with a message contradicting claims of genocide against white farmers in the country. However, experts believe that Trump always knew that there was no white genocide in the country, and even if Burns advises the US president otherwise, this will not make a difference. Burns, who's the founder of a television network, met with white Afrikaner farmers and business owners during this trip and concluded that there is no evidence to support the claims of white.
It's just not happening. It's just fictitious. Again, everybody is subject to crime. Everybody suffers crime. They're just trying to make themselves out to be victims. And this is the basis for Trump inviting refugees, quote unquote, from South Africa, having them roll in on a plane with their neck pillows and their cute little backpacks they're carrying along with them, nice clean clothes and everything, and they're refugees from political persecution because they're white and they're afraid of being genocided. Give it a rest.
So IOL is now writing this article that at least someone is coming from America to prove that there is no white genocide. Awesome. Now, where does the term white genocide come from? Of course, it comes from Trump. From where?
What? You think Donald Trump came up with the term white genocide? What the hell are you talking about?
From where? Let's start here. This is the most important thing that started everything. President Trump wrote addressing egregious actions of the Republic of South Africa. He wrote a presidential order February the 7th. What did he talk about? Shocking disregard of citizens' rights by the signing of the Expropriation Act.
I mean, really think about this. It seems obvious why Trump would be focused on South Africa, right? His old buddy, well, ex-buddy, I suppose, Elon Musk, was from South Africa and grew up under apartheid in South Africa. He's very clearly, clear as day, invested in this. Musk is. Now, why do we think that Donald Trump is interested? What even brought Trump's attention to it, I wonder?
Which allows expropriation without compensation. And the act follows government policies that dismantle equal opportunity in employment, education, business, and of course, that's BEE.
All right, so as far as I can tell, I think what the guy is saying is that there's a law that would allow the government to expropriate territory or like farmland if they wanted to. I don't know if that's actually the case. I don't know if that's even been used. I have no evidence that it's been used, but I will tell you this. The United States has such a law that they can just take somebody's land if they want. They have to give them a fair market value, but they can take someone's land If it's like interfering with like borders or whatever else, they can force you off your land. A lot of countries have that. It's how much it's being used that's the issue in my mind. Is this being used? Are white people being kicked off of their farmland, and is it being given to black people like regularly or whatever for no reason whatsoever? To my understanding, 90% of the farmland is owned by white people in South Africa. 90%.
Which, of course, it does dismantle equal opportunity because BEE gives me the contract first before maybe someone who's white.
Oh my God, dude. He's complaining about a DEI program. Complete nonsense. Again, I don't understand the politics of South Africa. I'm not there. I don't know how it works. I don't know what the things are that they're dealing with or whatever. But right now, he's claiming that black people are given favoritism in government and everything else because they're black. I've seen no evidence of that. They made the claim, they being like the right, Trump, the Supreme Court, and others, made the claim that affirmative action was doing just that, favoring black people. That's not true. It's a complete misrepresentation. It's not even a misrepresentation. It's skewing it. In no way is that true. So I'm hesitant to believe a word out of this guy's mouth either.
Wait, we're not discussing whether it's blah, 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 the history. Follow me here so that we get to the end. And he says there's hateful rhetoric and government actions which are causing too much violence against certain landowners. Okay. And then South Africa has taken aggressive positions against the states in terms of Israel going to international court.
South Africa was the one that brought the case against Israel or against Netanyahu in the International Criminal Court, right? I believe it was South Africa. And they argued that Israel was committing a genocide. What is this guy complaining about it or something?
Against the states in terms of Israel going to international court, because that's their ally, we know. And that South Africa is busy with Iran with commercial, military, and nuclear arrangements. Got it. What was South Africa's response? Trump says there is a white genocide. Now, second thing that he wrote, I'm ignoring everything else that he said. Second thing that he wrote, on this post, he has Julius saying, take the land, and he has Julius Malema saying, kill the Boer, and he's got President Zuma singing Dubulipun. Right.
So, I don't understand the culture, again. I have very limited knowledge about how all of this works, but to my understanding, somebody correct me if I'm wrong here, I believe that Boers, Boer, are white European people that like controlled the government in South Africa and made people's lives miserable. Like enforced anti-miscegenation laws, anti-race mixing laws and stuff like that. Boers, to my understanding, or to, the way that I see it, I may be wrong here, are just deeply evil sacks of if you call yourself a Boer, then, you're probably a bad person. I could be wrong. Maybe it's not a derogatory term. Boers were the original Dutch colonizers. Okay. So the Dutch go to South Africa. They colonize the area. They take control of the government. They segregate by force. And they take control of like 90% of the land and the wealth and resources and everything. And they leave the black population in an unwinnable situation. The black population has zero power. It's like the United States circa 1920. It's really, really bad for the black population. There is no path upward, none. And the black population, they start writing songs that they sing together that basically sing about a future time when they'll overcome the oppressors and things, a future time where they will take back their land from the oppressors, from the white people that came and took it from them in the first place, and all that other stuff. This guy's referencing those songs, which are still part of the black population's like cultural history. I obviously don't stand for attacking or hurting anybody. I obviously don't think that they should be singing any songs about it. But to my understanding, these songs are just they're not even viewed that way. As far as I understand it, these songs are just like kind of like their national anthem or whatever. They're just Swing Low, Sweet Chariot. They're just tunes that people sing. That's my understanding. But anyway, let's keep listening.
Right, kill whites. Now, how, and then he wrote, this is in April, he wrote, how could we be expected to attend the G20 when land confiscation and genocide is the primary topic of conversation?
That's not happening.
Because the videos at the bottom show people singing a song about killing Boers and saying, take the land, just go and take the land. You don't have to wait for anyone.
Again, is this actually happening? The answer is no. They still own 90% of the farms and stuff. Joshua Keller points out Metallica had an album called Kill 'Em All. Yeah, good point.
Take the land. Now, then the response from the media was, there is no white genocide. Now, if you go to the bottom of this video, you will realize that it's probably automatically put up white genocide and an explanation of what white genocide is.
Probably referring to the YouTube video. Did it do that? Let's see. Yeah, sure enough. White genocide conspiracy theory. Fascinating. Out of curiosity, let's click this puppy and see what we got going on. The white genocide, white extinction, or white replacement conspiracy theory is a white nationalist conspiracy that claims there's a deliberate plot, often blamed on Jews, to cause the extinction of white people through forced assimilation, mass immigration, or violent genocide. It purports that the goal is advanced through the promotion of miscegenation, which is race mixing, interracial marriage, mass non-white immigration, racial integration, low fertility rates, abortion, or, adult entertainment, LGBT identities, governmental land confiscation from whites, organized violence, and eliminationism in majority white countries. Under some theories, conspiracy theories that is, black people, Hispanics, Asians, and Arabs are blamed for the secret plot, but usually as more fertile immigrants, invaders, or violent aggressors rather than as the masterminds. A related but distinct conspiracy theory is the Great Replacement theory. Yeah. That one was popular in Germany, too, in the 30s. Great Replacement. And it's the reason why we get, like, Nazis today yelling, the Jews will not replace us. Anyway, that's the conspiracy theory that this guy is defending right now.
Now, listen to the US expert trashing, crushing, exposing this white genocide issue.
Somebody makes a straw man argument when they refute or argue against something different from what the other person actually said, did, argued, or stands for. They're not attacking the real thing. They're attacking a straw man.
Okay, I don't know what. Yeah, we all know what a straw man is. Okay, I'm just jumping forward in this because I don't know who this is. This is not about white genocide at all. I have no idea what this is about. Let's continue.
Isn't that exactly what's happening here?
A straw man? No, I don't think so.
That there have been complaints about farm murders, and now we ended up at, there is no white genocide. We only have a crime problem.
That's true.
Crime is a problem for everybody.
That's true.
Even some black gogos are getting their throat slit after they get raped. But this is a straw man. Someone says, what do you mean by that? But no, we do just have a crime problem. Wait, stay with me now. Here's the thing. Put yourself in these shoes. You are a white person who's just had
Okay, I'm with you so far. White person, go on.
a family member murdered.
Just had a family member murdered, okay?
You are a victim of a murder on your farm. Great. Now,
Great, he says. Okay, I'm with you.
here's the thing. If we had a crime problem, this is how it would look. Well, we just have a crime problem. Okay, here's how it would look. If
You already said that.
you black and you're a victim, the murderer was probably black, right?
Why do you say that? If you were black and a murder victim, the murderer was probably black? Again, maybe I'm missing some cultural context, but I have no idea what got you there. This is like really vile, honestly.
And you reported the case, the person never gets caught, the police never stop it. It goes on month after month.
So you think that they're not investigating murders then in South Africa, is what you're telling me? Or even the police only investigate murders if it's black people. Is that what he's saying?
Now, you're white, the murderer was probably black.
Why? Why is that probably? What is the population? South Africa's population statistics. 81 to 82% are black, 7 to 8% are white in South Africa, apparently.
And you report the case, nothing happens, no one gets arrested, the murders don't stop. You hear the murder down there, then you hear of a murder down there.
I don't know what he's talking about. Like, yeah, murders happen. Are you saying that they're just not investigated, that they're rampant?
Now, of course, although you're white and the murderer is black, we don't allow you to be racist.
The murderer is white and you are black. We don't allow... I'm sorry, one more?
Of a murder down there. Now, of course, although you're white and the murderer is black, we don't allow you to be racist. This is just a crime problem.
The thing is, in the United States, we need a basis for a hate crime multiplier or whatever. There has to be some reason. There has to be something, anything that indicates it was a hate crime. Something beyond simply, you're white, that guy's black. Like, I don't know, he has a track record of finding white people and killing them, and he writes in his little diary at night, I'm finding all of the white people I can and killing them. That would be an indication that it's hate-based, right? That, it's a hate crime. A black person killing a white person is not a hate crime. It's just a crime. Is there some reason to think that, like, in his fictional scenario, there is no reason to think it was a hate crime? And if it's not borne out in statistics, that it's, statistically, I don't know, more likely white people will be killed than black or whatever other thing per capita. If it's not borne out in the statistics, it's just not.
However, what if you add this? The black guy only deals with the murder and only deals with the fact that the police and the National Prosecuting Authority are hopeless. They don't catch the murderer. What happens to the white South African?
The guy that killed somebody, right? Or, God, his scenario is so confusing. The white one is the victim of the crime, right? What happens to the victim of the crime?
Here's what happens. Number one, there's the murder, police useless, NPA useless. But the head of the police, the president, the ultimate head of the police, the ultimate head of the NPA.
I don't know how it works in South Africa. The president is not the head of the police here.
Number one says, even though you were killed by a black guy, you are not allowed to ever get emotional and say anything bad about the black guy.
No, okay, I don't know about that specific scenario. I'm just applying what I understand about the United States. Nobody would ever say that. You can say whatever the hell you want, but people start calling you racist if you say racist, if you talk about the guy because of his color, of the color of his skin. You can talk about this guy until you're blue in the face and nobody cares. Yeah, he's a murderer. He's terrible. I hate him. Whatever. But when you bring race into it, that's when you're opened up to this.
Number two, the head of the institutions that must protect you supports his colleague, who must also appoint the judge to deal with the.
So he's saying that there's systemic anti-white racism in South Africa. No, there just isn't. It's just a fictitious lie. There is no evidence that bears that out. Statistics do not point to that being the case. The white population has historically controlled. They are the ones that own all of the land, that have all of the wealth, and have held all of the political power this entire time up until very recently. I don't want to hear it.
Murder supports that person, Julius Malema, singing a song that says, kill the Boer.
I support somebody singing a song that meant something to them under apartheid, that brings them together as a source of unity and makes them connect with each other. I don't support somebody saying that they should, that they want to kill people. I don't support anybody actually killing people, obviously. But I don't get the impression that that's what's even happening here.
With 1,000 other black guys after a black guy killed your mother and raped her. Okay? Now that's the only person who can protect you.
I'm assuming he's talking about something specific, right?
Number three, at every opportunity.
Wait, are we in a list right now? He's giving us a list?
Number three, at every opportunity that the president speaks, he kind of gives you a you deserved it anyway because you are a child of the people who lived and benefited under apartheid.
Okay, well, I understand Zuma is an absolutely evil sack of shit. He's like the leader of the left-leaning party that supported like the black community or whatever. He's a sack of shit. Everybody can agree. Yes, he's bad. Nobody wants him in power. Zuma bad.
So now the person on the left, the black guy, must only deal with healing from the murder.
Wait, so the black guy was the murder victim, or his family was the murder victim? I'm so confused.
With healing from the murder. The white guy must deal with the murder, knowing it could be coming for them, and the only person I could report it to supports his colleague to sing.
No, I guess the white dude was the murder victim.
Kill the Boer. This is what the complaint has always been about farm murders. There was never a complaint about white genocide.
Okay, I understand. Yes, there was. There just was. Elon Musk talks about it, and a whole bunch of other people from South Africa talk about it. I get you're not talking about white genocide. Okay, fine. But what he is saying is that there is systemic racism, systemic oppression against white people in South Africa. And I have seen no evidence of that. Emily Sigmund, these people trying so hard to say it's impossible not to be racist. It's pathetic, right? South Africa cannot be that different culturally from the United States. And I understand that they learned a lot of strategies about how to segregate and laws to write and everything from early America. So, yeah, there are no excuses here. I think I can pretty clearly tell like what the culture is like for the most part. We share culture in the United States in a lot of ways.
And then when they finally manage to get Trump to say something about it, when he comes, we're not arguing against the real issue.
Which is systemic racism in this guy's mind, which doesn't exist.
We're arguing against a word that he has never used.
Yeah, but they do use it. Again, Elon Musk says this.
Now I'm going to show you why this matters for me and you, because this is not just about winning a silly debate. I got things to do. Now, yeah, you are defending white people.
Okay, I would defend white people. I defend whoever is the victim of murder. That's just not what's happening.
Well, let me answer that. First of all, this is who I'm defending. I am defending justice. And I'll show you why just now. But why would I defend justice? Number one, because I am a believer. And I read, differing weights are detestable, disgusting to the Lord.
Okay, I get the impression that is not what this Bible verse was saying. Let me see if I can find out. Let's see. Verse is about honesty, fairness, and integrity in business or everyday dealings. In ancient marketplaces, merchants used scales and weights to measure out goods like grain, oil, or silver. Oh, I see. Right. So people used to, kind of load their gold ingots down with lead, drill holes in them, and put lead inside, right? That's what it was about. Marketplaces. Okay.
Disgusting to the Lord. And dishonest scales are unfair. And number two, I'm defending selfishly black people because this unbalanced scale says a couple of things. Here's the first thing it says. It says black people are not full citizens of South Africa.
What? So somebody says that there's a white genocide, and he says black Africans are not citizens of South Africa because of a lie. I'm so confused. The reason we're talking about him is because this woman sent me his name. I decided to look him up and find out what the truth was. And this is just complete nonsense all the way down. Fine, you're claiming there is no white genocide. You're the only one on the right that's claiming that there isn't a white genocide, but there isn't systemic oppression anyway. Emily Sigmund, what if terrible things happened to me? Can I say the N-word then, right? It's the same kind of ridiculous, stupid mindset. It's insane.
They need the protection of an international TV lie. Watch for yourself.
Right, this is where... who is this guy? I forget. It was South African President Cyril Ramaphosa? Yes. Zuma was the fourth president of South Africa from 2009 to 2018, also referred to by his initials JZ, and clan names, which are too complicated for me to pronounce. It looks like Zuma isn't even in power anymore. He hasn't been in power in like 7 years. Then why the hell was the woman who emailed me even talking about him? Ramaphosa has been president of South Africa since February 15th, 2018, when he was elected following Zuma's resignation. He's re-elected for a second term on June 14th, 2024, this time leading a historic coalition government after the ANC lost its outright majority. Ramaphosa continues to serve as both president of South Africa and leader of the ANC. Interesting. Okay.
The speeches that were being made One, that is not government policy. We have a multi-party democracy in South Africa that allows people to express themselves, political parties to adhere to various policies, and in many cases, or in some cases, those policies do not go along with government policy. Our government policy is completely.
I mean, look at Trump's body language here. He's shifting around and kind of refusing to really accept it, obviously, right?
Government policy. Our government policy is completely against what he was saying.
The political chant caused a stir globally when US President Donald Trump played videos of EFF leader Julius Malema chanting to President Cyril Ramaphosa as evidence of white genocide in South Africa. The courts have ruled that the chant does not constitute hate speech and falls under the protection of free speech.
Interesting. So I guess this chant, this song or whatever about sing about like the oppressors is considered free speech. Okay. Also, not for nothing, but I'm sorry, a little aside here. Just want to take a look at Trump's hands. That little hand signal that he did reminds me very much of Greg Locke losing his over a similar hand symbol years ago. This is 2021, early January.
I'm here to tell you, there's a group of elitists that run this nation, a bunch of globalists that run the world, and their money runs it. And I'm going to tell you something, it is nothing more than a satanic death cult. And the clearest thing I've ever seen in my life is when Mitch McConnell gets off track, he turns around and the guy behind him gives him the Illuminati hand signal of authoritarianism to make sure he stays on track. Just to remind that sucker, we're still in control, we're still paying your bills.
Oh my God. Anyway, yeah. So I guess the little symbol Trump is making here, I don't think Greg Locke likes that very much. All right, let me jump forward a little bit more here. Okay, so they're going to talk just a little bit about like the chants or whatever, the songs.
To arrest people willy-nilly. We follow the dictates of our constitution because we are a constitutional state and we are a country where freedom of expression is the bedrock of our constitutional.
This guy sounds pretty legit. I mean, I've only heard a very little bit from him, but he seems pretty honest and on point.
Arrangement.
Number 2, it then says...
Wait, are we in a different list? Weren't we at number 3 a few minutes ago?
That blacks do not have morals. They cannot tell right from wrong. If you just say the magic word apartheid.
Okay.
They have no morals. They have no conscience. They don't know the difference between right and wrong. Now, for you as a black guy, I know many of you realize
I'm not a black guy.
This and you say, no ways. I don't want to live in a country like that. Because what Mandela promised me is that I will finally be able to stand in full citizenship and I would carry its rights and I would carry its responsibilities, including defending any citizen in my country, even if they are not the same color as me. Why is this important? Let me show you.
Anyway, wow. Yeah. So this is a super long video. I'm going to call that one here and just say to Heather, first name only, to Heather, no. No. You got to look into this deeper, for real. This is insane. Okay? There's nothing true about any of this. Saying that there's systemic racism. I've seen no evidence to support that. I am willing to change my mind on literally anything. I just need evidence. Anyway, yeah, let me know what you think about it in the comments.